What's up, people? I'm running late to a barbershop, so real quick, in this episode, we're talking about how to meet people, make friends, and network in a new city during a pandemic, how to develop yourself into a valuable person so you can network with people, becoming more conscientious of your day and your money, and lastly, how to house hack and quit your career so that you can start making that passive money and free up your time to pursue the opportunities that you want. But I gotta go to a haircut, so. All right, so welcome to episode 2 of Let's Make a Mill, guys. It's been a crazy month. Here's all the money I've made so far this month. We'll get into the spreadsheets later, but I found moving to a new city during a pandemic to be extremely stressful as far as social life goes and making new friends because I haven't known anybody here. So I figured, why not make an episode on how to do that and how to improve that. But let me go get this haircut and then we'll get started. All right, looks like I screwed up and booked for 2 days from now, so I'm rocking this shag slash kind of mini mullet thing that's going on right now. But since I have some free time, I'm gonna run back to my place real quick and grab some more equipment. All right, while I'm waiting on somebody, real quick shout out to Humble Trader and Steve Ducks. These are two people that I highly recommend you follow if you're trying to learn trading. I've actually been watching Steve Ducks for like 4 years. I started watching him when I first started trading. And a shout out to James Jani. He's got some fantastic videos, just started becoming a YouTuber, making content, fantastic editing quality. But he's got a really good video on the rise of fake gurus and the toxic world of self-help. Highly recommend you go watch those. And speaking of making friends and networking, I actually DM'd him to possibly collaborate or have him on my live stream that I host every last weekend of the month. If you didn't see the last one, which was Sunday, there's a recording. I'll link it somewhere here, or it'll be in the description below. And that show is called the 1 and 3 Show, which is basically an in-depth look at what I'm doing in this series, Let's Make a Mill. It's more of an interactive place to talk with you guys as well as network with people that I know or work with. In last Sunday's episode, I talked about the 4 levels of wealth and the most important assets that you own. And one of those assets arguably is the most important, which is your network. More important than you or even the stuff that you own. Come here, let me introduce you. This is Ayana. She's gonna be my driver today, my personal chauffeur.
What? I didn't sign up for that.
Rule of making money, always optimize your time. Have somebody drive for you so you can work on stuff.
Bruh.
Kidding. She used to do real estate in Baltimore. So we're about to go meet someone who can hopefully help you dramatically improve your ability to meet people, talking to others, and presenting yourself to others.
But you're just like poison, so don't fuck with me, darling.
All right, so you already met Ayana. This is Tim. He's a specialist in sales. He's been doing it for 10 years. This is Chris and Nick in the back. They're videographers and photographers, and they're gonna be learning a little bit about sales from Tim, as well as this is Ryan from my team. Now, you might be wondering why the hell you would be interested in sales when it comes to meeting people and networking, but sales is really the art of persuasion and how to present yourself to people. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So when it comes to meeting people, you have to know how to approach them, and sales is that. So you don't actually have to become a salesman or sell anything to people, but understanding the methodology and the psychology behind sales can help you improve yourself to meeting people. Let's get going. All right, so we're talking meeting new people and networking, especially if you move to a new city or something like that. So for me, my first tip would be injecting yourself into any kind of network, whether that's social media or a network here in the city that you're in. So for me, I started with BumbleBiz and hitting people up on there, and that's worked out really well. This is how I set up this entire thing, is through BumbleBiz. You recommended what yesterday?
Social sports leagues. So it's like every city has them. You just kind of like register. You could go in solo and they just kind of place you on teams. And it's a really good way to network with people that have been in the city for a while, who have a lot of friends, who know great places, and make good connections for whatever you're trying to leverage out of that, whether that's business or just simply like socializing and making more friends. But it's a really solid way to like connect with people who are like entwined in the city already.
How do you go about finding those?
So really it's really simple, just quick Google search, like for whatever city you're in, just like, so Austin City Social Sports Leagues, they have everything under the sun, from like kickball to even flip cup, or like the more serious like basketball leagues and volleyball and all of that fun stuff. So it's just like a range, so it's like you don't even have to be athletic to do it, because they have like so many variations of like different types of sports to get into. But yeah, it's a really great base network to like integrate yourself into the city and just kind of like get a pulse on like what the vibe is, and places to go and people to meet.
Okay, yeah, I know you can get into Facebook groups and stuff like that, but it's a hit and miss because it can be across the nation rather than, I wonder if there's probably local Facebook groups or stuff like that, maybe. And then I know there's also Instagram hashtags, like you can search Austin Entrepreneur and find people that are in the entrepreneurial space in the city. Do you have any recommendations, Tim?
I just talk to everybody everywhere I go.
Yeah,
and I use BumbleBiz. That's worked out, half and half for me in terms of meeting people, especially professionals. But people are curious what you do, so talk to everybody you meet, and you'll strike up some interesting conversations.
Do you have any tips on how to build your social profile to attract people or network people? Because I know one thing when it comes to Bumble Biz or Tinder or any kind of dating sites, photographer or having professional photos really helps, but I don't know if that would transition into like Bumble Biz.
Some of it, I think you just want to make sure you stay on message. Like, pick one core theme and make sure that whatever people think about you, it's 100% that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's real estate, or if it's life insurance sales, or it's making money, investing, make sure you have that one core theme and you stay on message.
Yeah, I think your profile said sales and I teach sales or something like that.
Yeah, sales and money.
All right, Tim, so what would you recommend to somebody that's young or feels like they haven't educated themselves on something, they haven't gone through college, they haven't really built some kind of value to bring to people? Because one of the big things about networking with people is bringing them value. So what can somebody do that feels like they're in that situation where they haven't really done anything yet, they still want to network and they still want to meet people?
That is a great question, because that is something I wish someone had taken the time to talk to me about when I was in that position, when I was younger. So what I would tell them is to find somebody that's living the lifestyle that you want to live 10 years from now, whatever that is. Like, real, not somebody who's up to their eyeballs in debt and,
Vet them.
Right. Not somebody who's just trying to keep up with the Joneses, but somebody who sincerely has that established lifestyle, and then ask them what they did. Because you're going to find that most people who are successful love helping other people.
Yeah.
And they're not going to scam you out of anything. They're actually going to give you more than they could ever get from you.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's definitely one guideline, is find that person and ask them, what did you do and what's your advice?
How does somebody in that situation approach somebody? Because I know a lot of people come towards me and they're constantly trying to take stuff from me. They're trying to take information, take my time, and whatever.
Yeah.
And it just naturally turns you off when you're really busy.
That's because there are a lot of people who just want the answer.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're somebody who genuinely wants to learn, you're going to come at it a different way. You're going to try to offer something, even though you don't have something to offer.
Yeah.
You're just going to be honest and say, hey, I really want to learn. What does it take for me to learn something from you?
Yeah.
Because I want to respect your time, and can I ask you a few questions? Can I buy you coffee? For 15 minutes, can I ask you questions about what you did?
I will always take a free beer.
Right. Yeah.
That reminds me, there's a kid in Toronto. His name's Saline. If you're watching this, he hit me up. He's like 19 years old, getting into video and stuff, and he's just like, how can I help you? How can I help you? How can I help you? And he's like one of the only 19-year-olds that I actually communicated with and worked with, because he came at me that way instead of trying to take from me.
Yeah, I mean, all of these have been valid points. Just kind of like what I did was, again, I just kind of like inserted myself in the circles that I knew I wanted to be a part of. So it's like always presenting your value as like, I'm not trying to be a leech here. It's like, I just really want to like be a sponge and absorb all of the knowledge and points that you have to offer. So yeah, it was like, for me, it was like, honestly, service industry was really, really big, because it's like serving, it's like you're talking to people constantly. It's like, it's just a revolving door of different people from different walks of lives. And like my value to them was just kind of like, I really want to learn. It's like, I have this like versatile like spread that I'm like trying to like put pieces together, and then it's like slowly over time it was like the pieces just started to connect. But every single time I approached someone was with the respect of, I know that you have more on your plate, and it's like, I'm not trying to add to that weight. It's like, if anything, like help me kind of like leverage off of your plate and like fill mine. So that was kind of like a perspective twist that I had to like put on it.
That's how I started talking to the Saline kid, is because he was like, he basically came at me, how can I reduce the stress out of your life instead of adding to it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Nick. He's a videographer and editor, and he's looking into, well, you're already getting into music videos, right?
Yeah.
So you're a big fan of J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar and stuff like that, and those video edits. I'm a big fan of them too. They're very well shot. So we were talking a couple of days ago about how to go about improving your way to present people or present yourself to people. You said one of your problems was
Definitely starting that initial conversation.
What's your typical approach? Have you contacted people to try to work with them?
Yeah. There's a bunch of people that I know that are out, I guess, in LA and stuff like that doing big things, but I think I don't give myself enough credit to like reach out and be like, hey, let me help you guys and stuff like that. I don't know. I
So
just don't.
Would you say it's like an approach fear? It's just like you don't want to bug them, or what?
Yeah, probably approach fear. I've also reached out to, I think, so many companies, like bigger ones, and haven't heard anything back. So I think that kind of like sets me back in a sense.
Could you give me a rundown on like what your typical text is or email is?
Yeah, so I'll approach people saying how I can help them. I'll give them an example video. I recently reached out to Levi's and told them that there was an artist that I was working with. And sent them like an example video of something similar that we could do, like all this kind of stuff, and they were just like, thanks, and didn't.
Yeah.
And like that was it.
With that industry, a lot of it's the people you know and the networking and stuff. So my advice would be to push through the network rather than the industry. So one of the things I learned in sales is if you're trying to work with one specific person, don't approach them, approach their secretary or approach their friend or approach somebody that's in their network, and then put yourself in there as with value. Obviously you're not trying to like leech off of them, but that would be my advice. Would you say?
I would agree. Like getting an introduction is going to be more valuable than a cold approach. And if you're already working with some people in the industry, just work on building those relationships. And the more relationships you build, the more doors that are going to open.
That's true.
And next thing you know, somebody's going to be like, hey, I'm working with so-and-so, and we need a little extra help. Can you hop on? And you're going to be like, heck yeah, right? Yeah.
Chris, right? I don't know if you can't see him, but when I hit up Nick to do this, he ended up hitting him up, and now he's here, so he's networking with everybody. So perfect example.
Yeah, introductions are powerful, so definitely work the network. I mean, I would still go for cold approaches where you can, because at some point it will be hilarious to you if you get an introduction and they're like, yeah, you're the guy that sent me and then it's going to be like, oh yeah, all right, let's do something now.
All right.
I'm going to laugh if that comes true.
Hopefully.
Just focus on relationships, because relationships are going to get you further than anything else. I think based on what you said, your approach is good. You're giving them an example, you're trying to add value, and you're putting yourself out there, and it's a numbers game in the cold market. So don't stop doing that. Just focus on building relationships with the ins that you have now also.
All right, so if you enjoyed what you saw, we've actually sat down and shot for about 45 minutes, and we've recorded an entire separate video on everything we've been talking about here. So if you'd like to check that out, go ahead and click the link here. It'll be in the description. All right, if you guys enjoyed that, here is his Instagram and Twitter and everybody else's if you want to connect with them. So he's actually just started an online course which he's selling to teach people the sales psychology. So if you enjoyed what you learned here and you would like to learn more, there'll be a link in the description below for that. And if you're in the music scene or looking for an editor or videographer, Chris and Nick are fantastic. So the next part I want to talk about while we're walking here is when it comes to especially networking on a business level, the amount of money you make is directly correlated to the value you bring to a marketplace. So if you saw the live stream that I did Sunday of the 1 in 3 show, I talked about and I showed who I used to be. So this is pretty much the first photo I ever put up online, and just this photo alone kind of shows who I used to be. This is 18 years old. I'm still in high school, and that kind of personifies who I was back then. I almost failed high school. I remember when I took the SATs, I basically just took a pencil and drew a line straight down them, turned it in like 3 minutes, and then got a 6-hour nap. So this guy, Gareth, was not a man of dedication, goals, or action or anything like that. He just did whatever he wanted, anytime he wanted. And it wasn't somebody of value. And my money and the amount of money I made was directly correlated to that. When you got into sales and stuff, were you somebody that had a lot of value, you had a lot of knowledge, or did you have to build yourself into that?
I had to build myself into it.
What's some tips you would give to people when it comes to building yourself into a valuable person?
You have to understand that you are your own greatest asset. So you have to invest in your mind, in your confidence, and you can't give in to the doubts that come in. So you really got to build yourself into a fortress. And a lot of times people think it's about your knowledge on your product, and it's not.
I attract a lot of technical people in my YouTube video, or my videos, as far as like day trading and stuff, and they're always focused on the data, and they're always focused on the facts and stuff. So what does somebody like that focus on then? What's, if data and information isn't necessarily value or as valuable as what?
As who you are. As being able to identify people's needs and wants and being able to find solutions for them. So
emotional intelligence.
Right, yes.
So you want to develop emotional intelligence and your ability to help people, because that will make you more valuable.
Absolutely.
Well, I guess that closes up, the reason why you want to learn sales is so you can help people.
Right. Yeah, they go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. You have to grow in order to succeed in sales.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, mad artists and stuff. Like the one that sticks in my head is Vincent van Gogh, brilliant artist, but nobody knew who he was or the art that he had until he passed away. And that's a big struggle for a lot of artists, is they can be really good at what they do. You can know a lot about something, be extremely knowledgeable, but if you can't take that information and articulate it to people in a effective way, or can't communicate to people in an effective way to help them, you're just fighting an uphill battle constantly. In a meta example, this entire YouTube channel is really me just DJing information to help you guys better your lives, and in a way me introducing myself so that when you guys think about money or you think about issues that you're having, I'm the person that you think about. So it's a roundabout way. My YouTube is really sales in a way, I guess. What would you say to people that are afraid to move out and to like do stuff? And one of the things I teach in psychology is, are you familiar with the big 5 traits? Openness to experience.
No.
A lot of psychologists are finding that the most important thing to be successful in life, regardless of like SAT scores and IQ scores and colleges that you went to or where you're born, it's openness to experience, your ability to put yourself out there in the world and face your fears and do stuff like that. So I actually had a guy DM me today saying he's got extreme social anxiety and can't get out of his house and meet people. So what would you recommend to somebody like that?
Well, the longer you allow the fear to control you, the harder it's going to get. So as soon as you possibly can, go and act. Action cures everything. So take a small step, whatever that is.
Yeah. Don't go try to introduce yourself to a billionaire, but open the door and walk outside and make eye contact with the people that you're walking by. Start there and then say hi, how you doing? You having a good day? When you go to a clerk and you buy a drink at the gas station, just say, hey, what's up? How's your day going? My arm's getting exhausted. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this part of the video. The next one we're going to talk about is house hacking, and I'll think about it and put it in a title right here because I can't think of it right now. But I want to thank everybody. Thank all you guys for coming out, and hope you enjoyed this. And I hope this is a good example of how to network with people. Maybe you're somebody who doesn't know a lot, but you can develop your ability to connect people depending on what your situation is and what you're trying to do. But it starts with figuring out what people need. For example, he was looking to network with musicians and get into that space. I met him at the same time, who teaches sales. I figured he would be able to help him, so I connected them too. Let's close it up. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that. If you enjoyed the information and stuff that Tim was giving, he actually has a sales course that you can buy, and there'll be a link in the description if you'd like to check that out. But moving forward, I'm going to talk real quick about house hacking, and then we're going to get into my personal expenses and the money and stuff that I made this month. This video is already getting pretty long, so I'm going to keep this quick. But house hacking is probably the best way to achieve financial independence or financial freedom starting out. The first step is you need to build credit. So in order to get a house or a property, you need to be able to get a loan, but you can't get a loan without credit. So I'm not going to explain how to build your credit. There's plenty of content on YouTube and on the internet to learn how to build your credit. But first step, build credit. Second step is build up money so that you can get your loan. You need a down payment, usually anywhere from 3.5 to 20%. If you put less than 20% down, you're going to have something called PMI, which PMI sucks. So make sure you research what PMI is, and if you can, try to avoid having it on your payments. The second step is getting your loan. And obviously the third step is buying a house. Now, house, here's my recommendation. There's a rule called the 1% rule in real estate, and essentially, if you're looking to buy a property to rent out long-term or have it as an investment property, you want to be able to rent out the room for 1% of the total value of the property. So if you buy a house that's $100,000, you should be able to rent it out for $1,000. Now your mortgage will more than likely will be anywhere from $600 to $800 depending on some numbers, but that's the general rule of thumb. So you use that calculation to do a quick and dirty estimate on whatever house you're looking at to buy. Essentially take the cost that the mortgage would be and then divide that by the rooms that are in the house that you can rent out, and that's how much money you're going to make. For example, I have a house that's about $107,000. I rent it out. My mortgage is $750, and it was a 3-bedroom, 1-bed house, and I was renting out the rooms for about $375. I could have gotten probably $450 now that I think about it, but that covered my mortgage completely, which reduced my expenses to basically food and utilities, 1/3 of utilities even. So I was paying $300 to $400 a month to live, and that's it. So house hacking is a fantastic way to reduce your expenses so that you can free up your time or even quit your career. You know, if you only need to make $500 a month to survive, you can quit your job and your career to go pursue other ventures, which is what I did. I quit my career to start to pursue YouTube. But that's my recommendations on house hacking. I will make a dedicated video over the house that I am renting out in Indiana and more in-depth stuff on this, but let's finish up this video because it's already late. I'm a few weeks late on getting this uploaded, so let's take a look at my income for this month. Now, I think the next episode I'm going to sit down and go over this chart in depth and explain to you guys everything that's going on, but what I want to focus on in this video is first my income. So this is where all my money comes in from. YouTube made $15,000, Amazon made about $800. I had a teachable course with 100, and then my real estate got rented out, and this will be $1,200. And I also got my tax return. So May 20th, I made $20,000. However, you see this right here? Taxes. I had to pay $15,000 to the IRS. So I actually only made about $4,000 last month. Other major expenses that I bought during that month is I bought a table for $1,500, which is way more expensive than I wanted to pay for. But it turns out everybody's working from home with the pandemic going on, and there are no work desks available online, so I had to buy a mahogany desk that was way more expensive. I had to do it because I cannot sit in this fold chair anymore, and then this setup just is not working. I need to be able to stand because my back is getting destroyed working like this. And I also look at it as, it's $1,500, which is a lot of money. But anytime you buy a big purchase, especially if it's a business purchase, which you can write off on taxes, the way you calculate that is very simple. $1,500 sounds like a lot, but I'll probably use this desk for 10 years. So $1,500 divided by 10 years, $150 a year divided by 12 months, $12 a month divided by 30 days, that's 41 cents a day. Like that's nothing. It's well worth the price. So, don't look at the exact dollar amount of things that you purchase. Look at it as, can you write it off on taxes, and how long are you going to use it? Is it a utility? Is it something that you are going to use that's going to make you better, or in this case, not destroy my back? Because I cannot explain to you how painful it is to be sitting on this desk all day. All right, but let's move forward, and I just want to show you a little bit about what I'm working on. So this is the income sheet. This is all the money that I make, and you'll notice that all of this is business income. I have no personal income. I don't work a job. I don't get a W-2. I don't pay income tax. I do pay income tax, but I pay myself money, and that's where we go into the cash flow sheet. So this is kind of all of my data, all my money coming in. So this is my business checking account, this is my personal checking account, and as money flows from the business account into the checking account, specifically this column right here, which is $15,000, this is the amount of money that I'm taxed on income. Although I've made $47,000 as of right now for this year, I'm only going to be taxed on income tax currently at $15,000. If you imagine it, I have my business make my money, and then the business pays me, and that's the money that's taxed as income. This is why you want to start a business. This is why you want to quit your job, because you can avoid, if I had made $47,000 through a job, or I'd be taxed way more money than I am right now. All right, and then the last thing we're looking at is the balance sheet, and you'll see here that my net worth is now $60,000 because of the $20,000 account that I put in. However, that won't be the case next month because I had to pay $15,000 in taxes. And the last thing I want to show you is, I really like this thing that I set up and made, but it's all manual right now. You have to input all this information manually, and it's just not a great way to do it. So what I've been checking out is actually this software called Tiller, and this is a automated system for importing your financial data into spreadsheets automatically. It's a software that links with your bank accounts and your mortgages and your even your investment portfolios and stuff, and it all does this dynamically. However, my problem with it is it's just not clean and concise. Like I visually I like mine better, so I'm gonna figure out if I can integrate this into Tiller. But if you want to check out Tiller, there's a link in the description below for that as well. This is what I'm working on right now, is a more of an automated system for my money, but it's just it was made for accountants, and like people that are good with money. It's not a very visually friendly system, but it is a really good budgeting system. But that's what I'm working on now. Let's wrap this video up. I hope you enjoyed it. Like always, if you like this video, please share it. Please, you guys help me grow this channel. I don't do any promotions or anything like that. So if you enjoy the content, please share it. My goal is to educate people and help people quit their 9-to-5 and do what I'm doing. Not necessarily making YouTube videos, but you can apply these concepts and the knowledge of finance and getting around taxes to anything. It's not just making YouTube money. But I will see you guys in the next video.